Welcome back, everybody. This is an update on the Hitbox that I have been building for the Super Nintendo. I've now upgraded it. You might notice that there is no more wires, no more Super Nintendo PCB wires coming out this one. In addition, previously I had some of these buttons not hooked up. I was using the face buttons for start and select. These will be now working, as you can see. And in addition, because it is a Bluetooth wireless controller, PCB over here, not that you can really tell from this mess, it is now able to connect to the 8-bit DOE retro receivers that I have plugged into pretty much everything at this point. That's actually the PCB that I'm using, the one from these M31s. So that'll give me 6 buttons and R and L. Let's check it out real quick. Go over the advantages and limits of this thing, and then we'll try it out on a whole bunch of different consoles just so you can see how it works. So if you're not familiar with the Hitbox or you haven't seen any of those previous videos, Hitbox basically takes an arcade stick one of these bad boys and turns the joystick into 4 digital buttons. That allows a lot cleaner inputs, since most fighting games will not use analog sticks and only use 4 cardinal directions plus the other 4 for a total of 8 directions, you know, because you'll get diagonals and stuff like that. Generally, a regular Hitbox, standard Hitbox layout, something like this. This one's a little bit different, the button's a little bit bigger for the action buttons, but you get the 3 here, the jump button's this one here. Those are getting a little bit more common. You can find those at custom, you can't find them in a store, but you can find them at custom arcade part dealers now. But I had a couple modifications I wanted to make. So you can get the standard Hitbox layout, you can get even this WASD style layout I have here with a secondary up button. But I wanted to combine them, and outside of getting somebody to do it custom for you, which is kind of expensive, you can't really get that. So, you know, I added the WASD style movement, you know, left, right, down, up, second jump button over here, another up. Added that with the Hitbox style controller. And I've got also the 6 buttons for the Genesis. So A, B, C, and up here we've got X, Z, and Y. That's nice, right? These 2 buttons on a Genesis specifically, so these 2 buttons are the shoulder buttons. They will replicate the functions on here. For Genesis obviously only has 6 buttons. So these are kind of redundant buttons that map to the Z and C buttons the same way that shoulder buttons are used to map to a 6-button pad on a regular console. That's pretty standard. If you get a 6-button pad or a arcade stick, you know, they'll use R1 and L1 over on here. That causes a little bit problems if you translate them from a 4-button pad to a 6-button pad. Like, so if we start with this one, generally what would happen is if we put it in Genesis mode, it will do A, B, and C because that's what most games use. You want to have those 3 buttons always available, but then it will do X and Z on the triggers and Y up here, which gets messed up if you translate it back to Mega Drive format. So instead, I started with the Mega Drive, which will map cleanly the other way to 4-button controllers. So, you know, enough of that. Let's show off some of this. I believe there are juggle combos in this game. I don't know any, so I can't really show those off for you. But, you know, Yu Yu Hakusho is a good place to start for showing that stuff off. Also, great game. Coming to the Mega Drive Mini if you are in Japan. Definitely play it out. Play it if you haven't checked it out yet. But let's go back a little bit. Let's run this cartridge that we've got here and show off another 6-button game. This is Ranger X. I believe this might have been developed by some of the same people on Crusader of Senti. This is a really cool mech game. And the gimmick with this is that you have a bike that you can control. So here you go up, down, left, right. The A button shoots one direction, B button shoots the other direction, so you can kind of strafe and shoot. If you press, the C button shoots in one direction. If you press the B button, it actually uses your special attacks. You can press also the Y button over here to use your special attack. But if you have a 6-button controller, you can use X and Z to control your bike independently of you, which also shoots whenever you shoot. So you can kind of reposition it or send it somewhere remotely. Pretty useful. So dope, you know, that works. I'll have to show this off a little bit later just to see kind of the scope of this game, because it is really a showpiece for this system and just really fantastic. But, you know, maybe you're trying to play just some regular action games. Well, let's see how those work on this. Let's load up some, what do you think? Some Twinkle Tale, which is a cool fantasy shoot 'em up. So that's part of the big reason that I wanted a WASD style layout in addition to the Hitbox one, because there's a few fighting games on the Genesis, but not a lot, and it's kind of a waste to use, you know, build a whole Hitbox just so you can play like 3 games. So instead, now we got the full motion of movement here. Much smoother than trying to do it on, you know, like one of these. Like, it's doable. You can get used to it, but it's never going to be ideal. This is just a lot more natural. So there we go. We got that. Let's check out how it works on other systems. Okay, we are back and we are playing some Dragon Ball Z Hyperdimension on the Super Nintendo. So let's show off a couple things. This one's a decent one to show this thing off with, and it's, you know, control scheme, because there are so many moves that require you to use the L and R buttons. Really uses all of the controller buttons. We're gonna go with a classic match here: Frieza versus Goku. But, you know, Dragon Ball FighterZ has got me fucking sick of how many goddamn Saiyans there are, so I'll be the bad guy this time, sure. Alright. So, I'm not gonna like give you a whole mechanics breakdown right now. One thing useful to know is that you can press the L and R buttons to dash. Obviously you can do it here or here. You do need to press the right direction. You can do what are called 3D attacks, but you have to push towards your opponent and push an attack button if you want to get it off. Obviously here you gotta press the right button. It will not work if you do the left button. That will just do a normal attack. Let's see, a couple other things that are useful. You can do state transitions in this game, forward, back, forward, and if you press X, which is normally the key destruction attack button, that'll do a transition to the next area. Obviously, way easier to do on a hitbox, right? You can also knock them up a level. One thing I have noticed that's a little bit weird is it's hard to do half circles for some reason on this thing. Maybe it's something about the way the left and right inputs cancel each other out, something like that. Or it could just be that I have not hooked this thing up properly. Everything else seems to be working fine. Maybe I'm just having a rough time with old games. So we'll have to test it on some Street Fighter or something and figure out what the problem is. This uses a down back forward input for super moves. So still kind of tight, much easier to do on a hitbox, clearly. You know, easy dashes here. And let's see, what else do you got? Just like a jumping can do like a destructo disc. That's pretty fun. There's this useless move. Like, I guess you can get a juggle off it maybe. I don't know what like the timing is of that though. What else? Why? Can do one of these. Give him one of these. I believe there is. Yeah, you can do one of these evil energy shots. Pretty good. Down, back, Y, and B. Oh, this. The desperation attack. And there's like a jump kick in the air. Or down and B. Like this. Inputs are kind of weird in this game. But yeah, this is a pretty fun game. Let's see. If I knock him out of Kami's lookout, you can do, you know, you can fight in the air, which I like. Yeah, pretty sick. This gave Goku a nice little death ball before we leave. But yeah, that's Dragon Ball Z. You know, obviously it's got some advantage being on a controller here, and the Super Nintendo has a lot of pretty good games, fighting games rather. So it's nice to have this thing. You know, I could do it before, but now I have kind of access to all the buttons, which makes it even nicer. But with that said, let's move on to the next game. Alright, I showed off some Dragon Ball Z. Time to show off the other OG. This is Sailormoon. Outdoor Brawl, Fight to be the Protagonist, I believe it's called. There's a much longer Japanese name that I don't remember. So this is actually the Big Zam edition, which is a partial fan translation that's going on by Metaquarius and some of the contributors from the Moonlight Fight Society, which is a Discord for playing Sailor Moon. So let's see. We got a punch, so charge attack. One, two. This is just back forward. Yeah, there you go. So you got the lightning. I think you can do lightning with the other one, or does it just change by? Yeah. So there's that. Weird. This? Yeah, you got one of these. Doing backdash counts as being in the air, so you can, if you're fast enough, do one of these, and it's a lot easier to be fast enough on, you know, so-called cheat boxes. And then let's see the kick. Yeah, that's pretty cheap. You know, do a jump in into one of these, just like that, and then oh man, the full circle. I don't know if I can pull off the full circle. There you go. Hitbox, pretty easy. Just need to press all the buttons. Basically instant. If you don't fuck it up. Well. Oh, am I not pushing the punch button? Ah, forget it. I did like perfectly 3 times in a row, and then I'm over here failing to do it again. But even easier than that is the easy input version. And that will also give me a chance to show off, delete and miss the A button, the easy input mode. So when you do easy inputs, you can press L and R and a face button to do a special. Obviously you can use these L and R buttons. Let's go to the space-time door, my favorite. So this one's light, this is heavy. You can press it like this, or you can press it like this, since there's redundant buttons. When you switch it to Super Nintendo mode, the C and Z go into the style of, oops, arcade, arcade motions, or arcade controller layout. So like what you would normally use for translating something with shoulder buttons to a arcade stick. You know, you can do that. Oh, yikes. Oh, and you can do instant command grabs. So if you're like me, and you continually fail doing 360s, you can set it to one button. Not that it helped me in this case. Even, I mean, she's cheating a little bit. She's cheating a little bit. All right, let's do one of these. That was just a regular grab that time. Oh. Instant grab. Throw it. Get the O key. Get the lightning. Oops, right, I keep forgetting it's it gets a little bit weird because you naturally kind of want to push the strength of the attack button to vary the strength of the move, but that's not really how it works with the shoulder button stuff. But using this makes it a little bit more intuitive. The thumb buttons, rather. Get out of here, get out of here, get out of here. Oh. This one. I lost because of time. Yeah, the instant you get on camera, it's impossible to play a fighting game. But let's test out some other games, and you know, see how they fare with just regular old action games again. R-type's a good one to use because by default it uses the R button to switch between the different types of charge attacks. This is a pretty dope game. Not that I've really got past level 2 even, because it is R-type. It's pretty hard, and you got to spend a lot of time memorizing the enemy patterns and stuff like that to get through it. So we'll just show this off for a little bit. So, you know, regular shot, you can really jam it really fast. But there is a rapid shot, so don't hurt yourself doing it. I don't have a force yet, so I can't really use any of the other buttons. Let's see, there it is. You know, B button at the shot, bring it back, shoot at the guy, and then if you want, you can switch to the hyper and regular beam by holding down that button. And, you know, there you go. Pretty good. So, you know, you got, just covers the whole bases in terms of what you want to do with the action. Oh, there you go. Or rather, like, the kinds of inputs that you want to do. You know, if you need to hold anything or kind of have access to that shoulder experience, so you can kind of just switch it to your thumbs. But anyway, let's switch this up. Here we are on the Nintendo Switch. You know, we've got it all paired up. It's ready to go. We're going to try some Mega Man 11. I'm going to show off a little bit of the unconventional control scheme I have set up for it. So this game is a little bit weird. I've tried it on an arcade stick, and you know, I like the ability to have those nice precise inputs. Because believe it or not, Mega Man 11 kind of feels like it benefits from that. But obviously, it's got this new Mega Man has a lot more functions on it with the gear system and all the quick motions you can do. So that makes it a little bit more difficult to get onto something like a arcade stick, just because you kind of want to have access to weapon switching, and you kind of want to have access to weapon switching and the gears at the same time. So for this one, I'm just using, you know, up, down, left, right. The pretty standard. Oops. Let's try this. Overkill. A little bit. But also, I can switch between the weapons right here and up there. Oops. Obviously, you can push those two together. I always do that. That's a shortcut that I think they introduced in 9 or 10 that you can use to switch between the two, switch back from any special weapon to your Mega Buster. That was sloppy. Yeah, and then obviously I have the gears down here, power gear here. No, I don't have enough power. I don't have low enough power. You can press this button to rush. It jumps up here, rapids here, regular shots here. With this, I could actually hold down a charge and let go. And actually, I could just let go of it by pressing the rapid fire button, which is what I've set it for previously. But this feels pretty good. You know, you get kind of all the functions of a controller, with a little bit more precision input, which you don't really need given the way that they map things. It's pretty smart, but lets me do stuff like slide quickly. Oops. And cleanly. It's a little bit easier to do than on a controller, because you can just sort of hold down forward. Pretty cleanly. I mean, you can do that on a controller, but it gets a little bit weird. Let's show off some other stuff. Now, right now, I don't have a home button wired in. That's going to require a little bit of drilling, so that's why I didn't do it. But you know, you can still play pretty much everything. You're just going to have to hit the home button or have a second controller on hand right now. So I've got the setup for arms. If you want, you could use these for pressing L and R. I use face buttons for... I use face buttons to do my attacks anyway, so I kind of like using these instead, rather than like shoulder buttons. Now, this does have a certain problem in that you won't be able to move because it uses the analog stick and does not use the D-pad. But if I did that correctly. You can since this is a feature of the 8-bit DOE, you can switch the D-pad to well, it only has the D-pad, but you can switch it to emulate analog. Oops. Which analog you want, you know, so you can use it for a variety of different games that otherwise would not support using the D-pad for them. I'm a little rusty, so I'll probably lose this match, but this is just more to show this off anyway. And I got the dash over here on the thumb buttons, blocks over here. Oh. Super right there. Up. Yikes, this is bad. And up here I have left and right target switch. So you can, you can use that for that. We'll play one more round. Let's try a little harder. And then, I got the attacks down here. I should really be using her jumps more. Ooh, I thought I was going to skip that one. Ooh. I whiffed that one badly, but it worked out. There you go. ARMS, pretty good. Everybody play ARMS. That's a game that I wish more people played. It's a pretty excellent fighting game that honestly does a pretty good job onboarding new players. Well, maybe not onboarding them, but being accessible to. And for the final game on the Switch, just for fun, we're going to try some Smash Brothers. Just to show that it can be done. This is not a thing that I recommend doing. There's stuff like the Smashbox that does a similar thing. But they have modifiers and stuff like that to help you be a little bit more precise. I don't recommend using this control method, but I have set it up so that I could use it. So, I got jump over here, special attack here, shot attacks. If you set it on low sensitivity, you can pretty neatly get the strong attacks by just holding down a little bit, or heavy attacks by tapping and push them at the same time. Or I have the A and B shortcut, so you can just do that for smash attacks. I wish there was a way to just kind of disable them. One game that does disable heavy attacks rather, or just have a strong attack button. What's that game? Slap City does that, and helps a lot, and kind of like makes the inputs a little bit more accessible and readable, which is fine. I wish I had the option here, but it's fine. This works better than you'd think it would. Let's see. What's the restart? L, R, and A. So, you can still do stuff like, what was it? Is it up A? Yeah. Grab them. Oops, that's block. I think I got grab up here. Or, you can push these two together. Nope. So I'm a little out of practice. But the new shortcuts make this actually a little bit more manageable. Things like that. Now I got grab over here. I got a second jump here. Regular jump over there. Special right here. Shot attacks, like I said. You can press the shortcuts to get the different directionals you want. I can still do. It's not, you know, as clean as something like a Smashbox, obviously, because that's the thing that's built for it. And then, you know, I got the block and the thumb. I can use either thumb. Presumably, you could wave dash, I guess, if you had, like, you know, if it was in, like, a different game that allowed it. It's not going to work in this game for obvious reasons. But yeah, I mean, you can make it work. This thing really is useful for that. And having block here, I'll check it out. You can, does that count as beat reversing? It does have the unique animation for it. I mean, generally beat reversing doesn't. But yeah, that's this thing. Hopefully you kind of enjoyed this weird project. You got something out of it. I don't know who's watching these, but thanks for watching these and sticking around. I'm gonna go play some more video games and have some fun with it. See you next time.